You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are Road Rage. And, finally, 2021 just started. Like, it's the first week, actually. And, NXT UK is back, so that's why you can see it. We're really excited. We're absolutely happy because this show always delivers, and it gives us what we need. Good wrestling in only an hour. So we're pretty excited about that. A lot of good matches and, new storylines. We're going to have a championship opportunity for Walter and A-Kid, next week. So really excited to talk all about this. So, Paul, your thoughts on this show?
Yeah, NXT UK is my favorite wrestling show out of all of them that are on there. And Rope Break covers pretty much all of them. Not all of them, but pretty much. And, this is definitely my favorite that we do. I'm excited that they're back. I'm happy they had the 2 weeks, spend it with the family over the holidays. That's legit. But they're back. And this was a good, solid episode. I think they're going to be, they didn't start off like super hot, like, exciting. No, they progress the stories. They don't try to pop the crowd just to pop the crowd. They continue their storylines. They do legit stuff. And, I really enjoyed this episode.
No, yeah, it was pretty good. So we're going to be talking about absolutely everything that takes place, new storylines, fighting, all of that. But before that, thank you so very much for the love that you give us every single time. Thank you to other podcasts that are showing us love also. They love what we do. Thank you so very much for that. Don't forget, Paul and I did AEW Dynamite. There you go. The New Year's Smash, they won. Pretty much the Bullet Club is back. A lot of people, Paul, in our social media, criticizing this. It's it's bullshit. The show was good up to this. A lot of haters, even Tamatonga, Tangaloa, for the Bullet Club in Japan, New Japan. They're oh no, it's not a legit Bullet Club. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, also the Too Sweet. Supposedly the Young Bucks were sued by WWE. They were not able to do that. But it seems like that sue is obviously dropped, because they were able to do this. So, I mean, it was a decent show to me.
Yeah, I mean, the two, that's a little bit, stretching it. Really, you're going to sue somebody over a hand signal? But
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely not. So, don't forget to check it out. Great stuff, great information. Jean-Paul and myself doing that. But NXT UK started out with, I thought this was going to be the main event. But no, they actually shut me down because this started the show. #1 contender for the women's match and for the title match for Kaylee, and that is Jinny with Piper Niven. But we hinted it. We said, Piper Niven has had a few opportunities already in the past, so I don't see her winning it. And, what happened, we're going to talk about it a little bit in it. But I think the match quality, it was pretty good. I was not, disappointed with this match.
Yeah, I like this match. It started off the show, and start off the show with something good, something meaningful. The #1 contenders match for the NXT UK Women's Championship. This was good. Everything you said, I agree with 100%. Piper Niven, we wanted to see her as champ. How many times? She kept losing. So hopefully, get her away from the title picture, and next time she's in it, then maybe you give her the belt. But right now, we're nah, the story there is for Valkyrie. That's who we think is going to be the next champion. But, we get this match with Jinny. And, I mean, this was good. I like Piper Niven. I think she's legit. And obviously, she was the bigger woman, so she had the size and strength advantage. But Jinny's really good, too. And like you see in the picture, somebody came out and kind of interfered in this match. And that's what I like, too. I don't know. I'm not saying, I love interference and, every match should have that. No, but in a match like this where Piper's going to lose when realistically she should probably win because of the size and the strength advantage and everything, this is a good way to kind of be she lost, but it wasn't clean kind of deal.
Yes. And the one thing is also, if you remember why this interference took place, is because the guy is Joseph Connors. So Joseph Connors, remember, he was actually being interviewed. And then right away, all of a sudden, Piper Niven interrupted that. So there's the connection right there. That's why
everything. And we've said it. Go back in the archives for UK reviews. We said every single thing they do on this show means something. Yes. They don't do something on this show just for the sake of doing it. If somebody farts, someone's gonna smell it. You know what I mean? Everything is gonna have a cause and effect. So
it reminds me about the mouse thing.
Yep, exactly. So this is, I like that. And then, maybe you're going to see something where maybe he kind of hooks up with Jinny or kind of some maybe little alliance there. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. Yes, but he took the cannonball. That was cool. He did that. And also he allowed Jinny to get the win. They got in the ring one more time. And then Piper Niven was going to do a move. I think he was trying for the Michinoku driver. But then
he grabbed the ankles.
Grabbed her legs. grab her legs, and then that allows Jinny.
The only bullshit thing with that, and I'm not saying it to be mean. Like, I know Piper's bigger, but the ref was literally staring right at it, and I'm like, really? You don't see him grab the ankles?
Yeah.
Like they could have did something where the ref should have maybe been looking somewhere else or a different angle or something. I'm like, really? You don't see that? But it was a good way to get, Jinny the win. I think she was the woman who should be the #1 contender. Let her have this title match against Kaylee Ray. But you and I both said we don't really see Jinny winning it. And if she does, she might be transitional. She might have it for a couple weeks, and then Valkyrie's probably going to win it from her.
Yes, absolutely right. I think that, and you see, like the rivalry, Piper never is going to be in between this. So it will take place maybe then later down the line. We see the alliance with Connors. It's all good and all makes sense, like you said. Talking about Kaylee DA, she's just got a promo saying, #1 contender for Jinny. Like she's like all her life, she's been handed everything. Everything by mommy, daddy, like they've been doing everything for her. The one thing you don't have that I do, and that's why I'm the champion and you're not, is I have talent. And that is something that money cannot buy. So you will not be the champion. So like you said, this is only going to be a transitional thing. Kaylee DA is just like hyping the feud. That's fine. It's 2 heels. You always say that. There's no way that they can do that. But I'm pretty sure like you were really popping for this. Valkyrie. That was a pretty nice video package, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, I love this where she's talking about like having to like fly on her own wings, like, oh, you can't stay on the branch forever, like that becomes weak. It's just pretty much like, hey, I need, like, okay, I'm here, I'm legit, I'm doing my own thing, but I gotta leave the nest, I gotta fly away, I gotta prove my own strength for who I am. And I think that's what she's going to do, and I love the video package, how it was like, you see the fog and everything. This was really good. You were right. I was popping for this big.
Yep. I know you, so I know what makes you pop. And this actually made me pop either, because this is the first time that I actually can hear her speak. So that was really cool. I really love that. And like you said, this is the woman. And I wish that they will have crowd for like a takeover if they do that, and that will be the match. Kaylee DA defending against her, because it will be a nice and a beautiful title switch, which will be really cool. So other than that, Paul, we got to see another, like, our boys, Pretty Deadly. Our boys are like saying something about Gallus. They said, hey, we're in the tag team like a circuit, like we're in that like same symphony. We're gonna be having that match pretty soon. So Gallus is afraid of us. We've been winning all the time. Like you said, I like these guys, but like if they win with like a finisher, they need a tag team move. Because I hate when they win with like the roll-ups and all of that. But other than that, they have presence, and I think like maybe in a few years they will be a pretty consolidated tag team.
Oh yeah, I like that. They're a really good heel tag team. Like this, Breezango's always been portrayed as babyface, but I think that they could get over more being heel, because it's like, oh, we're good looking, we get all the chicks, like, you're just a fat loser, you blah blah blah. Like for them, like that's why I think Pretty Deadly is getting over more already than Breezango, because it's like, it's that kind of gimmick better suits a heel. So I like them. Do I see them beating Gallus?
No.
I mean, to me, I think if you were going to do the change, it should have been for the Hunt. That would have been legit to do it, but we didn't see that, so we'll see where they go.
Yes, yeah, you're right, Jean-Paul. So let's go now to the next, thing. It's the Supernova Sessions. Right there is like we have our boy Noam Dar. He has his show. He's the second episode that they did with this, and he has a special guest because he's a guy that just signed onto the NXT UK brand. He's a guy that like we saw him pretty briefly on AEW. Like he did a few episodes on Dark. The only problem that he had before he signed is he had COVID. And actually that helped out to WWE to like pick him up, and now they put him in the NXT UK brand, and that's Ben Carter. They had a really nice video package from him like 3 weeks ago, the last time that they had the show. So like he's being interviewed by Noam Dar. Well, what do you think of this? I like him. Like he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, I like Ben Carter a lot. He's one of those guys that like, he's a good baby face. He's a good promo. Like when you look at him, you're like, okay, he's a baby face. He's a good guy, and he talks good. He's not like, like he talks clear, he talks good, and then he's a guy who you can get behind, and that's like, I can easily see the crowd being behind him, cheering this guy, and he's really good, and I like this. I love Noam Dar. I love how he plays the heel. This is like, I complain. The Miz is like the shit version, and Noam Dar is like good because he's like the slimy heel who's like funny, but he's also, at least Noam Dar can be legit in the ring, and the Miz is the Miz. Yes, but I like this. He sits down. He's like, oh yeah, Ben Carpenter, all this stuff. He's like, no, it's actually just Ben Carter, and he's like, wait, you're not a carpenter? And he's like, no. And then he looks back at his production crew, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you said it was carpenter. He's like, now I had 7 questions on how to build shelves and cabinets. He's like, now what am I supposed to ask him?
Yeah, so like,
then they're like, oh, okay. So like, you know, you see the funny thing, like when A-Kid was on, he's like, oh, what's up, Bambino, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
like,
like,
you even speak English, A-Kid.
Yeah, because English is not good. But like, who
I
in the
like
office?
this.
You know, because Carter said he's here to be the best on, you know, NXT UK brand. And there you go. The ace. And it's not Hiroshi Tanahashi. We saw Tanahashi on Monday. And that was like the Wrestle Kingdom review in the channel. The other ace, Jordan Devlin, was right there. And he pretty much says, you know, boy, you know, if you want to like be with the best, right here. Here am I. So Ben Carter actually demands a Cruiserweight Championship opportunity because it's like, you know, the open challenge that we have yet. So like, you see right there. It's a pretty good introduction for Carter, you know, to be exposed to like the champion right there. And the guy that like at some point he's going to be going against Santos Escobar. So I like this, you know, we get to see 2 very talented guys. And, you know, Sid Scala made it like quick. You know, hey, we're going to have the match. Pretty legit. You know, it's going to be the main event, right?
Yeah, and I really like this too. I just loved like the back and forth. You know, Ben Carter was like, you know, you're the gatekeeper. You're, you know, the standard bearer. You're one of the most legit guys on this roster. So you should have no problem defending your belt against me. He kind of, you know, used his ego to kind of make him agree to this match. And I love when Noam Dar is just like, oh yeah, you know, you're the fake champion. You're the bullshit one. Like, you're not the real cruiserweight champion. Like, who? I love how it like. Noam Dar always has to try to get under people's skin, and I like that because it also adds a little bit more fuel to the Santos Escobar Jordan Devlin feud, where he's like, "Oh, you're not the real champ, you're the bullshit one."
And I love how he was using the inverse psychology. I love that, you know, like, oh, you're not gonna give me a championship opportunity. It's fine, you know, whatever. So like that was cool. So that's going to be the main event for later on in the night. I want your thoughts on this. The match was made official. It's going to happen next week, and it's going to be our champion Walter defending against the A-Kid. You know, for the NXT UK World Heavyweight Championship. This is like the video package was pretty good though. I like that. You know, Walter saying like, "Oh, I'm dominant" and all of that, and then A-Kid just saying, "Hey, well, Walter doesn't have is like this desire that I have. He might be as good as like people say he is, but he does not have the same desire that I have. He does having the passion, the intensity, the explosiveness that I have, and that I want to become champion. It's easier to just be the champion because you have to defend, but like to become the champion is a lot different." So I like that. I don't want your thoughts on this really quick.
Oh, I like it. I'm excited for this match next week. Obviously, this will and should be the main event for next week's show. I'm really looking forward to it. And we have said it before, you know, 2-3 weeks ago, last time we were on here for UK, we said it's going to be a good match, but there's no way the belt's coming off Walter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because you gave A-Kid the Heritage Cup. He defended it against Tyler Bate. He's one of those guys. He's in the top 5 of UK. For singles male competitors, he's in the top 5. He's in a good spot, but Walter is number 1, and he's going to stay number 1 for a while.
Yes, and you know, you mentioned who? Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate had a promo. He was cutting a promo saying that, you know, like this loss to the A-Kid, you know, like 3-4 weeks ago, made him realize that he needs to take a step back to move forward, because like he needs to just go back to basic concepts, and he needs to be more lethal. He needs to be more, you know, just be able to win some matches. He needs to have that condition that he's going to let him allow, like to win and again, because before, you know, he had shenanigans, all like the things that we happened with the WWE. He went through some trials, but now he's ready, and he needs to focus on one, and to be a professional wrestler. So he needs to be a little bit more outside of the comfort zone, and then just start like going back to like, again, he can challenge Walter one more time. He even says it's like, I was trusted with the UK championship from the beginning. So I like this promo. I really like he was opening up about everything that has happened. So we never hear Tyler Bate talking like this before.
No, I really liked this too. You know, everything you said, I agree with, and this was good. I like how he's taking a step back. He's not like, oh, I'm still legit. You know, I should be number 1 contender, or I should be this, I should be that. He's like, no, let me take a step back. Let me, you know, reevaluate everything. I know what I need to do. Now I need to do it.
Yes.
Kind of deal. And it's good. And that's why I really like NXT UK. I feel like everything is just, it feels so realistic.
Yeah,
like it feels like that's what you would do if you lost a big match and you're like, shit, like, you know, if it's a real fight, not like a gimmick, not like, you know, work or anything, like a real fight, you really will reevaluate. Ronda Rousey, when she got knocked out by Holly Holmes, she was contemplating suicide. She wanted to get out of UFC because when that's your career and you lose, you really got to reevaluate stuff. So I like how they play that off like that.
I love it. There was one person that didn't like it though, Paul, and you know who it was? It's a guy that like he came back at like a month, like 2 months ago. Like he he like the look is legit, you know, he's good, but like every time he loses, and you know, and like they like to like grab his like balls or something when they do the moves. So like that's Sam Gradwell. So he didn't like this. He was watching on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, this is bullshit."
Oh
so
yeah, I was laughing so bad when like that legit promo ends, and then you just see Sam Gradwell standing there, and he's like, "What is this bullshit?"
Yeah.
I was laughing.
Yeah, and so like they're going to have a match. So in this one, I think Tyler Bate is going to go over. So
yeah, Sam Gradwell, unfortunately, is kind of like, I don't know who to compare him to for WWE, but it's like the guy who it's like, okay, he could be legit. Oh no, I know who, Cesaro. Somebody like that, where it's like, okay, he looks legit. You can push him. People would believe it, but he's your jobber.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's what is going to happen. So, you know, talking about a guy that should not be a jobber also, we have a pretty good match. I like this, you know, and there was Dave Mastiff. This is not a jobber for the ones that think that's the jobber. No, Dave Mastiff going against, you know, like the 2021 version of Bruiser Brody, Saxon Huxley. So, like, they went at it because, remember, like, the last time we saw UK, like, he kind of, like, to defend against, like, he got a handicap. Samson Huxley.
Yeah, it was Jack Stars, and I forget the other guy's name, but yeah, Huxley, you know, he lost that handicap. He was beating them down, and like you said, Mastiff came to defend him. So what did we say earlier? Everything that's done, you know, affects something. It means something. Yes. So now we get this match, and this could have been one that I would have rather seen these. I love the match, everything until like the ending. But I would have had these guys be brawling and fighting and beat each other, and then it ends in like count out. Continue this feud because, you know, you have Huxley and he loses. Yes. And it's like, okay, you know, a legit hard-fought match. I love Dave Mastiff. You know, he's one of the he's another guy too, top 5, whatever, in NXT. Like, they're really pushing him, but it's like, what is, like, you know, what are you going to do with Huxley now?
Yeah, and that's the one thing. He keeps losing, and that's a problem because, like, I feel that he's a heel. He needs to win some matches so he can be progressive. Like, even, like, Nigel McGuinness was praising him the whole time. Oh, I remember when he fought Vuelta. It was really good. You know, he has a lot of potential. He's intense. He could, like, at some point become the NXT UK champion. But, like, now Mastiff did, like, a really nice cannonball and done. I'm like, I mean, they shouldn't be, like, the finisher, like, that way. I just didn't like that. You know, it's a nice move, but, like, Kevin Owens does it. Piper Niven.
Yeah, and especially because it's like, okay, like you look at Mastiff, yeah, he's not very tall, but the dude is huge. He's solid. He's literally like a boulder. Yes. But then you look at Huxley, and he's got to be 6'3", 6'4". He's tall. Like a cannonball hits him, it should be like, okay, yeah, Mastiff is big, but like really, that's what's going to.
But it cannot be like it cannot be lethal. Absolutely right. I agree with you about that. That's what we have. So Mastiff gets the win. Hopefully, Mastiff goes even like to challenge Walter. Like they desperately.
That's what I mean. That it for him to beat Huxley, and excuse me to cut you off, but for him to beat Huxley, you got to give him something legit. Like after A-Kid, it's got to be Mastiff because. You had Huxley, he came back, he was in front of the chain link fence, and he's like, and he's shaking it, and you're like, okay, they're going to do something with this guy. He came out, he looked good his first match, second match against Walter, lost, okay, whatever. Then he had the match, the handicap match, lost. It's like, okay, at the time, I'm like, oh, I don't mind it, because hopefully they do right by him, and then he loses here, and I'm like, I really don't know.
Going left, right? They keep going left, and you know, like, no, you never interrupt me. There you go. I hope WWE doesn't sue us for the use of this. So, like, anyway, but yeah, there you go. So, like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, massive. Don't you think they need desperately mid-card title? They need something so like other the rest of the guys can fight. I mean, it's cool that they rotate. You know, we see some guys we see Coffee the 1 week, then we get to wait 2 or 3 weeks to see him again. All of that, but they need a mid-card title so that way this guy has something.
And not the Heritage Cup. To me, that's not a title. It's got to be a belt.
A-Kid doesn't even like show it anymore. So like, let's go to the main event. And you know, this was like Ben Carter, like you said, his introduction to the WWE world, specifically on the NXT UK brand. I like this match. You know, hard hitting. 2 cruiserweights, really good. I will even say, I will go ahead and beyond and say this was much better than Santos Escobar and Grand Metalik. You know, because these 2 guys gave us like a really legit showing of good cruiserweight action right here.
When you know, we saw that video package a couple weeks ago and they were hyping up Ben Carter. It's one of the things where it's like, okay, you know, these people hype him up, you know, Seth Rollins, William Regal, all these other people. Like, okay, yeah, like I'm sure he's legit, but let's see. There's lots of, you know, quote unquote legit people in WWE. And then we saw this match, and I think it kind of shut up if anybody was a doubter. Anybody's like, oh, like, let's see what this kid can really do. No, he's good. I love this match. To me, like I said earlier, he's a white-hot babyface. You can really push this guy, get him over. You can put a belt on him, People will be behind him. They'll cheer him. He's one who could like be if they had a Money in the Bank or a Royal Rumble. He's a guy who could win that, and the people would pop and go crazy. They'd love to see it, and I really like this match. It deserved to be in the main event. I know it's like, okay, at the time we were thinking, oh, it should be Piper Niven and Jinny, but no, this deserved to be in the main event. This was great. I love just, when I forget what Devlin was going for, but then Carte flipped it into like a Canadian destroyer.
Yeah,
really good.
Like a powerbomb, and then whoop, he flipped it up, Canadian destroyer.
Yeah, and just Ben Carte is just so smooth, and Devlin is good. And then you put a guy like that with him. I mean, this match was fantastic.
It's just magic. Absolutely. I agree with you. Really, like, intense action. Yeah, I will go ahead and I can compare this with Omega and Rey Fenix. Because if you think of Omega, like a little chubbier than what Rey Fenix is, Ben Carte with Devlin, same comparison right there. And see, that's what happens. You said, like, you said this on the AEW Dynamite review. You said, like, oh, when you put water with water, they mix, they flow beautifully right there.
Speaking and that's actually, now that reminded me, that's what Sam Gradwell said, because Tyler Bates like, oh, I need to be like water and flow, and he's like water? He's like, what the fuck? He's like, that's bullshit.
Well, at least we think it's legit. Yeah. So Mr.
So Tyler Bates,
don't hate
WWE.
Mr. Gradwell, but like you said, in the end, good stuff though, and he did like the Devlin's inside, right?
The Devlin's side, the side suplex. I mean, that's the kind of same thing with the cannonball, but if like.
It's like a Taino suplex, don't you think?
If you go back to old wrestling, we always say Rock and Roll Express, they hit a double drop kick and people 1, 2, 3 sold for that. So it's just, they're maybe going back to the old school where you don't need to do a triple, quadruple Canadian destroyer flip onto like a flaming chair to finish the guy. You can actually hit a legit move and pin him with that. So I think they're just kind of keeping that old school, feel. Like, again, if this was a real fight, if I hit you with a side suplex, I don't know if you'd get up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like in a real fight. So
in the world of kayfabe, what do you say? In the world of kayfabe, like
exactly in the world of kayfabe. And we also knew Devlin wasn't going to lose here.
Yes,
that's one of the things we've been saying it for how long. Anybody with a brain that understands wrestling will say it too. It's going to be Devlin and Escobar, because that's the feud that makes sense to unify the belts. From
there is like, we don't know who is going to be the champion, but like you said, Worlds Collide is coming, next month. By the end of February, it should be right there. Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin to become like the unified or like the real cruiserweight champion. So this is another show we have. See how quickly it was? Smooth like water, like Jean Paul said. Mr. Gradwell doesn't like it, but we do. So family, thank you so very much. I think that like it was a pretty good show, and next week it's going to be a title match. Like Jean Paul said, it's going to be a great match, but like Walter is not losing that championship for nothing. It doesn't matter like how many people are breaking in the White House, in the Capitol. It doesn't matter. He stays champion. So, don't forget, subscribe, help us out, and also like the bell for notifications. And where else can they find us?
And then also follow us on Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, like Juan said, click subscribe and click that bell on the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
Thank you so very much, family. Our next appointment, encounter, Smackdown. We will not see the same energy. No, we always give you the same energy, the same love,
This show sucks.
Apollo Crews and Biggie. That tells you the whole story right there.
That match should be legit. Everything with the tribal chief.
Yeah, there you go. And we will be doing a lot of poop like that. So, family, thank you so very much. We'll see you soon. You and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...